Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the UKEL. We are going into our third game of the day. I'm, of course, Jared Darksel, and join me is Charlie the Sargent. A little less spiffy than he normally is today, but it's a bit too hot, I think, in his part of the world. But, Charlie, we have a couple of good games on the cards for us today, don't we?
We certainly do. I'm not wearing a shirt because I was hoping to cool down, but I doubt the teams are going to let that happen. We've got Vector versus Resolve as our first game. Both teams currently sat at 1-1, and then we have London United versus Nerd Rage on our final game. Nerd Rage currently undefeated. We're going to see whether they can maintain that spree or whether London can actually take a game away from them.
But before we have that, we of course, as you said, have Vector versus Resolve, both sitting at 1-1. Now, Vector lost to Mythos in 1 versus Revenge, so they have been looking okay. They looked decent enough in their Revenge game, but they lost hard to Mythos. But on the other side, Mythos are on a stomp. We just saw them destroy the competition once again.
That's the thing. My favourites, Mythos, they are, they're running away with a competition at the minute. They remain undefeated.
You're biased.
We've got to stay completely, professional. But hey, Mythos are doing well, and they're earning me some good prediction points, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. But no, Vector did win last week. They used a substitute jungle Sarset. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I am. Who is remaining with them for this week as well. I'm expecting the jungle matchup to actually be quite spicy between these two teams because based on last week's performance, both of them had excellent early jungle control. They were making things happen for the team, and they were really just all over the map exactly where they needed to be. If you have that from both the teams at the same time, expect clashes in the river, expect skirmishing, expect 1v1s, 2v2s. I'm wanting to see some action out of Linkus and out of Sarset, and depending on who gets the better of this, could decide the way this game's going to swing.
Well, early priority against Dragdar. He is, of course, the star AD carry for Resolve. He is the recipient of both First Bloods in his 2 games, even though they didn't get the win on that second game versus London. And they will be taking off the Senna off of the board as well.
And while we're talking about Resolve being 1-1, it is going to be a bit of a point of contention for this team. They unfortunately did have the DC last week, and depending on who you ask, that was ultimately what cost them the game against London United. So they've got kind of that black mark on the record being 1-1 right now. Many would have said they'd be 2-0 at this point if it wasn't for that disconnect. So I'm expecting them to come out hungry and with a real vengeance to try and knock away last week's performance and show that they are one of the top teams in the UKEL.
Now targeting the mid laner Pillar to get away the Karma and the Orianna on the other side. Syndra still hitting that bandwagon, even though she was nerfed a little bit on this patch. Easier to follow as well.
Yeah, we did see a few nerfs to some of our more prominent champions. We got a Syndra, Cassiopeia, Yuumi got hit hard. We're not expecting to see a lot of the cat today, but clearly the teams are still valuing them because Aphelios has slipped through despite getting a slight nerf. Kalista has slipped through, and you can see Syndra has been banned away. Vector are going to have to show something first. We're going with the safer option, the Trundle. This is more than likely going to be going into the jungle, but there is still that potential to flex it to like the support position, even if it is very unlikely.
Yeah, something you used to see with Ardent Sensor, just to use that Pillar to proc the Ardent Sensor. It was pretty disgusting, but we are expecting that for Sarset in the jungle role. But what would you like to see as a response to this? As you said earlier, the Graves is still up and available, and I'm just wondering where they're going to put their early priority in this first rotation. It looks like it's Thresh.
Yeah, the Graves is still available if we're talking about the jungle matchup, but to be honest, I think it's a good opportunity to get your 2v2 in here for Resolve. We've already mentioned that Dragdar is the kind of star player. He's where all the resources are going to be going in, and with that Aphelios being left open, like we said, the fresh Aphelios could be locked in here. He could also pivot across to the Varus, but it's going to be the Aphelios remaining true. Really versatile champion. He has a lot of tools, and especially paired up with a Fresh, it makes him incredibly strong because it negates some of his weaknesses of having the low maneuverability and potentially being caught out, because Fresh is so good at peeling and keeping this marksman safe.
And when you have Dragdar on the Aphelios, I'm pretty sure that it's going to go well for them. But Soraka gets locked in. We have seen Reckless in the LCS, sorry, not LCS anymore, the LEC, picking that up in the bottom lane. But I'm kind of expecting it maybe from Yangi in the top lane. We've seen that a little bit more prominent.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold my breath on where the Soraka is going to go right now because I've heard various things from different players and obviously from watching different leagues about where this champion is best suited. Overall, everybody agrees that she is very, very strong right now, and it is mainly due to the overtuned support items, we'll say.
Yeah.
You get so much value from those that just simply stacking supports and having them be in your team to help carry the rest. Sorry, to help out your carries is a big, big strategy.
I mean,
Wukong is going to
if
be
you're feeling
right back
people
there.
up, it's kind of a way of carrying.
Oh, definitely. You're stopping your key members from going down, which, when you've got the likes of a Wukong who's going to be diving forward, who wants to be aggressive, that is always a good thing. But another tool to stop people from going down is the Kindred. We've seen a couple of teams pick it up in different tournaments. I don't think we've seen a lot of it in the UKEL so far.
Mhm.
But this going over to Linkus is another scaling marksman, another carry that can put out an obscene amount of damage if we don't see Link has put behind on it. And I've already said when we're introducing this game, but I think there is going to be a lot of action around the jungle. So I'm excited to see this carry pick come out and how Resolve are going to build the rest of their composition around it to really let this Kindred shine.
And how will this Trundle play into the Kindred as well? As we said, Kindred wants to be aggressive in the early game, needs to get those marks to really stack up, really be a champion in the game at all. So I'll be interested to see that jungle matchup, but still targeting the mid lane. They know that hasn't been picked yet.
And we're pretty confident that the mid lane is yet to be left open. Vector have a bit more flexibility. We're assuming they need an ADC, but they did play Wukong in the bot lane last week, I believe it was. So that could potentially go down there, and they're looking for a top laner. But then you've got the Soraka there as well. So we really don't know what Vector are quite looking for at the minute. But what we do know is Resolve are going for the scaling. They are going to stack as many marksmen as possible. The Aphelios, the Kindred, and the Corki. These are all champions that want to go late. They are all champions that want to scale up. But I'm concerned that they need some sort of front line. I'm expecting a tank of some sort to be this top laner who can stand in the way and let them perform this front-to-back team fight. Otherwise, I'm very concerned that they're going to have a Wukong just messing them up big time.
One more lock in. It's going to be the 80 carry. It looks like Varus is up and available. It's the Shyvana, so that is Soraka in the bottom lane. So
And
Soraka Wukong.
that means Trundle is coming into a lane as well. Top lane
Well, that's
Trundle.
Shyvana top lane.
Ooh, it could be. See, it could be Shyvana top lane, and normally I would agree with you, but we saw Sarset play the AP Shyvana last week
That's true.
in the jungle, so I'm thinking that this is a bit of a pocket pick that Vector are looking to fall back on again, and they're potentially putting Niangi up into this top lane. We will find out in a couple of seconds when we see all of our rotations and switches come through, but that's going to be the Volibear as the final pick for Resolve. Artorias made a name for himself in our first week by being such a terror on the Aatrox. He was commanding so much pressure on the top side of the map by just being this dominant force. And Volibear is another champion with his rework, of course, that is more than able to do that.
I'm a little worried about the positioning of these champions right now for Vector because Wukong, we've seen it time and time again into the reworked Volibear in the top lane. Volibear has won out every single time, so that is a worry for me. Bottom lane, Sport Trundle is what we alluded to at the start of the draft. It wasn't something we really expected to come out.
No.
But I mean, you can build a support item on both your Soraka and your Trundle, but do you expect more of a carry Trundle or going for that sort of supportive sort of build?
Honestly, I'm thinking that we're going to see just this kind of supportive, the defensive Trundle that's using the pillars to potentially catch people out, to create space between your own carries,
Mhm.
and it's going to be Soraka that's going to be taking a lot of the farm. I think this kind of trend in the bot lane started on Senna's release when you kind of got your quote unquote support taking the farm
Yeah.
and having just a tank, someone to keep them safe alongside, that was being the traditional supportive role, while your pseudo support, this is going to get a bit confusing, but bear with me, while your pseudo support, like your Sennas, your Sonas, potentially here a
Mhm.
Soraka, bought the main items, they're the one that's farmed and scaled up. Now, we've seen how awful Soraka is to deal with in the late game when she's pumping out 500, 600, 700 health healing to every single member in a team fight over and over again. if you're looking at playing this kind of long-winded team fight, this front to back that Resolve seem to have drafted themselves into with the triple AD carry, that's definitely going to be a good option. Something that Vector are going to have to protect. And short of a flash engage from the Volley Bear or a good hook from the Fresh, I'm concerned that Resolve might not be able to find the avenue of attack they need to get to this Soraka and shut her down.
And with how squishy all these AD carries are, when you have an AP Shyvana jumping on your face using her Dragon's Rage, just dives onto you, even if she has just her Runic Echoes and maybe an Asher's Tooth, she's still doing 8, 900, 1,000 damage with her E. It will blow everyone up. Corki needs to go for that Hex Drinker early on just for that sustain. Even it's actually decent that he's against the AP champion as well, otherwise he'd be a bit more vulnerable.
Mm.
But this is what I'm worried about. They're so squishy. The only ones that really have any tankiness is the Volibear and the Thresh. If Shyvana gets 3 items, what are you going to do about it?
There is a lot of burst on the side of Vector, and they need to use it well.
Mm-hmm.
We saw them last week. They played a bursty composition. They wanted to just get in and get the premier target straight away so they could get out and just win fights, kind of in an instant. I
Yeah.
was skeptical how it was going to work last week for them, but they pulled it off. It did manage to get them the win. They're running the same kind of thing this week, and again, it could very well work. If they can get onto the Kindred, the Corki, or the Aphelios, they will do so much damage and just blast them off the face of the earth. But the issue is getting there. Fresh, we all know how good at peeling he is, I've already mentioned it. The Kindred Ultimate is such a fantastic tool, and I think it's a really interesting game changer when you're actually looking at compositions because all of a sudden you might have all this upfront burst, you might have all this damage that you want to use at the start of a fight and try and turn it into a 5 versus 4 or a 5 versus 3 and give you the numbers advantage straight away. If you can't do that because the Kindred's Lamb's Respite has gone down, and you're then in the middle of the enemy team being a very squishy AP Shyvana or a very squishy full damage Wukong because you've built to burst people and not being able to do it, your entire team fight then falls apart because they just take you out and they just roll over the fight like they want to in a standard controlled manner.
See, one of the things to counter that point is if you bait out the ultimate from the Kindred, if you
Mm.
jump in and she's expecting for you just to ult in as the Shyvana, pop your E, try and burst her down. So you pop your Lamb's Respite. If you do it early and then the Shyvana can wait it out, she can just burst you down. So it's all down to this sort of mind game between the two junglers at a certain point. Whoever ults first loses.
It definitely is, but I wonder how well Shyvana can go backwards. Like the thing that I'm concerned is how well can you actually bait out the Kindred when you have a Shyvana and a Wukong who basically only go forwards. They have difficulty coming out, especially if they've already used their ults. And if that's what you're using to bait in the first place, you're gonna have a bit of a bad time. And we haven't even touched yet on this Victor. It's a bit of a wild card, something we don't
Mhm.
see a huge amount of. And it was kind of the one missing element that Vector's team comp needed to, in my opinion, have some sort of credibility. Because if they'd have gone for, say, another assassin, another burst champion, they're thinking, right, they need to go all in, they need to get the picks, they need to kill people straight away. And if they don't, that's basically it. They've
Yeah.
lost because they can't do anything else. Having that Victor there allows them to play a bit more of a slow game. It allows them to poke. It allows them to control an awful lot of territory around these neutral objectives. The Dragon Pits, the Herald, the Baron, that these teams will be fighting over and trying to contest. And it lets you potentially get a few of these cooldowns, get a few of these ultimates, maybe even a flash. If Berry gets ahead and starts dealing damage, one death ray could be enough to force the Corki Flash or the Aphelios Flash, and that's the kind of tool you need to then make the Wukong and the Shyvana all that more effective.
And if memory serves correctly, we saw last week a Victor just popping off and having an enormous performance. Either that or it's a solo queue game that I'm remembering. But Victor has seen a little bit more prevalence in the meta
Mm.
at this point because he just, as you said, he serves a need. There's a niche in a team comp that he just serves. They needed the wave clear, and he provides it very, very well. He has AP, so you have to prioritize that so you can't really prioritize against Nyangi in the top lane who wants to go AD. So I'm a little bit trepidatious about this team comp from Vector. It either works really, really well, or it just falls completely apart.
And it's another one of those instances. We talk about it all the time on cast. I know people are probably sick of hearing it, but it is going to be about the execution. The
Yeah.
Lamb's Respite is going to be so key in these fights at stopping what Vector want to do and allowing Resolve to play the game. If you mistime the Lamb's Respite, it gets baited out, or you pick a fight when you don't have it available, you are going to be in a very difficult situation. And a Corki that's 0-2 behind, a Kindred that can't get access to her marks, and a Phelios that can't move up to do any damage because he's constantly under threat. All of your damage falls through the floor, and Vector can then go where they want on the map, and all of these dark spaces become all that more threatening because you can't walk into your own jungle or contest any objective for the fear of being instantly burst.
So it's all about this early game, the first 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes for both these teams, especially for Resolve here. Just waiting for Linkus to make his tracks early on, get it early invade, try and put Sarsit behind, try and get a couple of these marks and snowball. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the rift for our third game of the day. Is Resolve versus Vector. Both sitting at 1-1, looking to separate from the meat, the chunky meat of the middle of the pack.
And we do go on about this. We do say that the teams need to start pushing ahead. They need to start clearing some distance between themselves and everybody else, because this is a short league. It's only a 7-week single round robin before you get into the gauntlet run. So although last week we're saying, oh, it's fine, teams can still take the time to find their feet, they can still find this synergy, it doesn't matter too much if they drop a game, you're now getting to that stage where if you are 0-2, dropping a third game here starts to make your prospects very difficult. If you are 1-1, dropping a game here starts to create a bit more distance than you would like from that potential gauntlet spot, and it makes that end of the split all the more harder and all the more pressured, because these games start to count even more because of the short time span of the split.
Especially the winners of the UKEL can be promoted to the Division 2, so there's even more to play for. It's not just a standalone league. So you do definitely want to get these wins, get towards that playoff spot, and ideally win the playoffs.
You definitely do. And if we take a quick look across the board, you can see it's all fairly standard. Shyvana has gone for your Dark Harvest, emphasizing how much she wants to just burst people out with that stacking of damage. She's looking to cause as many problems as possible. Berry's getting chunked a little bit low here in this mid lane. Pillar able to just put on some pressure, but overall, fairly standard starts. Kindred's path down towards bot side, but with the tower pushing in, unlikely to be able to make anything happen at level 2 or 3 as Resolve try and push his wave under tower.
Yeah, both junglers starting in their top side quadrants, making the way down towards this bottom side now. Interesting that the Shyvana decided to start off on the Wolves and the Raptors, but in the top lane, Yangi getting the better of Artorias.
He hits that early level 2 and he knows that gives him the power to go in. Artorias does manage to get out of that without losing too much health, but with that Doran's ring he will have to be a little bit careful. He won't have that same sustain that he would with the Doran shield or the corrupting potion, so we might potentially be seeing an early back. Otherwise, Nyangi could get an early kill here. He's dropped down to place a ward, gonna let the wave push out a little bit more so he can pressure, but Pillar's also going quite low in the mid lane there, taking a bit of poke, having to pop another stack of that corrupting potion.
Not really expecting the damage coming out from the QE combo from Barry there on the Victor. He could trade back with the Gatling gun, and he did do that earlier on. So it's just a little bit of trading of damage. And once again, junglers just going for the regular clear. Very, very quiet early game here. We'll be able to pick up a first mark here, it looks.
I was just about to say, we're going to see Kindred get that first mark. It will be very favoured for her with that positioning on the top side. Saka had just backed away, and Artorias was pushing in the top side. So you saw the immediate ping for assistance come out. Linkers wanting to guarantee these early marks as quickly as possible, because it does give you that extra scaling and make Kindred an actual champion. Saka's going to go and check on it now, but can see it's already gone. Linkers already rotated down to the bot side. He's going to get double skulls in this first clear of the map. He's going to go back very, very healthy, potentially look to come back out onto Rift and start to make something happen at level 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's a great start for Linkus. Extra vision coverage and extra experience in gold for the Kindred. But he does need to get 4 marks to actually get that first stack of the mark of the Kindred. We'll be invading, taking a little bit more for from Sarsit there, or Sarkit. I'm not sure if it's a soft C or not. Junglers will meet each other in this bottom side. Link's gonna steal away a lot of those chickens.
Certainly will, and you know, just a respectful, both of the junglers are going to walk away from each other, and it's like we said, we are expecting them to try and make something happen here. Both of them are very proactive in the early game. Both of them have had a fantastic record so far. Of course, we've seen Linkers twice. Saka we only saw last week, so we've only got 1 game to go off, but hey, if you're going off a single game, it's good to have a nice one in the bag. And AP Shyvana, the same as he did play in that second week, so no reasons to doubt that he's able to do what his team needs. You can see they're already pathing across to this Drake. The bot lane for Resolve had backed away. Kindred's on the way down to scout it. They will have seen them on the River Scuttle. Wonder if we're going to get here in time. Linkers looks like it's going to attempt it.
Yeah, level 4 to level 4 will have the same smites, but he's exhausted down, has to flash away. Will he be going down here for the first blood? Looks like he'll get Synapse. Sprinter will take him down. Pillar off to the side. Now Starset flashes forward. Prilla just about gets away thanks to the heal from Dragdar. They get the first blood and they get out.
Bit of a messy fight there goes against Vector. They do manage to pick up the first Drake, which is what they came for, but losing that first blood, and especially with it going on to Linkers, that is not the kind of thing you want to see. Artorias pushing on top.
Yangi takes a lot of damage there, and Soraka will be bursted down. That's 3 kills now over the side of Resolve, starting to look good.
I was going to say, Dark, so we're talking about a fairly slow early game, a fairly respectful handshake between these junglers when they took the Raptors away from each other just a minute ago. And now we're looking at a 2k gold lead and 3 kills up to Resolve. They made something happen in every single lane. I don't know exactly how Hawkeye got caught out there, but over on the top side, it's exactly as you predicted in draft. You said that this Volibear would be beating out the Wukong. You said you'd seen it over and over. It looks like you might be seeing a repeat again here.
Yeah, it's just rinse and repeat almost with this matchup, but Vector will be rotating their bot lane up towards that top side, and Artorias is rotating up there now himself, so it should be a little bit in favor of Hawkeye and Synapse Sprinter, but it is a Volibear with 1 kill. He has the Sheen, he has that long sword as well, so he has a lot of damage. You haven't reached level 6 yet for this Soraka, so you don't have that wish in your back pocket.
And honestly, even if you did have the wish, you don't have an awful... Ooh, Yangi's getting poked down a bit under tower, and I definitely feel that although Vector have made the textbook play to make the rotation so they can be their priority at the Herald, I think this has actually hindered them a lot, because Niangi now can't go up this wave at all. He's just trapped under tower, and all of that CS is going to waste. Dagdar is getting free plays and a level advantage over Wukong, and meanwhile, you're not gaining anything on the top side. Between a Trundle and a Soraka, you're not going to be able to do a lot of damage to the Volibear, unless, of course, you get Starset as well.
Yep, trying to go onto Artorias, though. The heal will heal Starset back up. Artorias under the safety of his tower with the jungler nearby, so no kill gonna come from that. But again, at the bottom side, just so much gold going into the pocket of Dragdar. He has over 1,000 gold more than his lane opponent, the Soraka, but they're gonna try and take out Linkus here. He has the ultimate. Starset will manage to get himself away with his own.
He saves it. Very, very disciplined from Linkus, and I'm getting a little bit concerned for the side of Vector now. They don't seem to be gaining anything at all. Niangi, he is practically being starved here. And look at all of the money that Dagdar is getting into his pocket. In the past 2 minutes, he has got every single plate off his tower. He's made a huge CS lead.
Yeah, goes in with the Cyclone, though, gonna try and find the pick onto Dragdar. He uses his ultimate, will flash away, but the hook is good, pulls him back. Dragdar, his second kill of the game, and Vector, they're bleeding out, even though we're 8 minutes in.
Niangi tried to make something happen. It felt a bit desperate, and it looked desperate as well. Dragdar and Reichly able to get away from that, but Artorias might not.
Yeah, he gets away because of his ultimate. He's able to hop to the safety of his tower. And Barry even worse for in this middle lane as well, just about 10 CS behind. TP coming in now from Wukong. He'll just be flayed back, nothing he can get.
That's the power of a Fresh. We talked about it in draft. You've got an aggressive comp that wants to go forward. It's very difficult to do that into a Fresh who can just do so much to get you away. You can see we're really pressuring his top side.
Artorias should be going down here, will be picked up by Sarset. Will pick up the tower as well for their trouble. It will be the first tower of the game, so a little bit of extra gold in the pocket of Vector, but they are 1 and
Maybe
4.
not.
They are has to push Dragdar away. You have to pick this up. You need the gold. Dragdar gonna try and pressure in the bottom lane, but they will manage to pick up that first turret. Will get that gold into their back pocket. But Linkus towards his bomb site as well.
Oh,
Tower
no.
desperately low in the Wukong. He's just dead to rights here. He's trying to bait them out, but he gets hooked. He gets killed.
Niangi with the predict there of the hook through the stealth. That is a beautiful play on the bot side. You saw Linkus move down here. Niangi had nowhere to go. He had no flash. He had no TP. He had no hope of escaping that gank. As Linkus say, okay, we'll see you 3v1 Artorias on the top side. We can do it on the bot side too, but this time we'll put the money onto our ADC. Dragdar, only 10 minutes in, massive gold difference between him and his opposition, and he's got 3 kills to boot.
I think I would have liked to have seen the support Wukong in this matchup. It just feels so bad for the Wukong into this Volibear. We've seen it in the Pro League several times, which is why I referred to it in the draft, and every single time the Volibear has won out. You might have a superior trade in the early game, but the Volibear will always have the superior game.
He definitely will, and he's such a powerhouse in the side lane as well. He is just going to put out so much pressure, and if he can 1v1 this Wukong, there's no real answer that Vector can bring to bear. Like, the Shyvana isn't going to be able to stay in a sustained environment with this Volibear. He will be able to run her down. The Victor certainly won't be able to as well. He is going to be far too squishy and far too immobile for that. Sasset looking to poke in. You can see the teams are converging around this Drake again as it spawns. Hawkeye is going to get a little bit of healing there, but Artorias and Niangi both on the top side, neither have TP.
Neither have the TP, and they're going to fight around this. Drake want to deny it away from Sarset. Just going to dance around this objective. TP just about to come off cooldown for Artorias. Same can't be said for Niangi. Have started off, it looks. They're going to go on to Pillar instead. Ultimate is available for Sarset. He will not be able to get the death sentence to safety. Hawkeye picks up that kill, but they will give over the Drake.
Good silence there to stop him from flashing over the wall, but Niangi...
Oh, he manages to flash away, but can he pick up the kill into Artorias? He flashes in! He will not give up his life, even!
Artorias got the flash W to get the extra damage in. He then managed to get a little bit of healing. Doesn't want to take any more tower shots from that, buddy. Vector, they're trying to push on the mid lane, but Resolve have enough members here to push them away. Both teams still playing very scrappily. Vector, although behind, they are not willing to let any of this go for free.
Sarset gonna smite away the red buff, but gets the slow onto him. Forced to flash out because Reichly is nearby. And you're 3,000 gold behind, you only have the Ocean Drake to your name. 2 kills? It's feeling like their draft isn't playing up to our expectations. It's not doing everything in the early game that we're kind of hoping it would.
We're definitely seeing the Wukong struggle a lot, and that with it being a key member of Vector's comp, a key area who was supposed to dive in and cause pressure, having that point of attack fall behind is definitely going to hurt them. Now, the rest of the team is still doing okay. You see Victor is still farming up nicely. He's got his Hex Core Mark II, I believe that is already. So, he's getting to where he needs to be. He hasn't been under an awful lot of pressure so far. Soraka, she's farming, she's doing well. The difference is when you look across at the Aphelios and Sarsa getting caught out, it's not going to feel good.
No, he's gonna walk it away. Thanks for the leash, buddy. Onto that Rift Spittle.
Ooh, Artorias here. He's a monster.
Yeah, Hawkeye is nearby. We'll get to heal him up actually a lot, but does the Trundle have the damage? I think the answer is probably a no. Doesn't have the flash, doesn't have the ultimate, so might be able to run him down. Barry is there as well. We'll use the Chaos Storm, but Artorias will manage to get the Lantern out thanks to Rightfully. Thank you very much, my friend. Pillar, he did teleport in, gets the flash out of Hawkeye. I'm looking for the kills here. Sign-Up Sprinter will be cut down. The Wish does practically nothing to help him out. Hawkeye, one more auto attack will finish him off. I think this gonna trade decently here. He has the Lamb's Respite, which is huge.
Oh, that is aggravating. Lamb's Respite to keep him alive, but it's not over.
Yeah, Dragdar, he is bursted down for a lot, but he's gonna trade him with the Chakrams. Rightly burns him down with one more auto attack. I think there's the teleport comes in the bottom side. Artorias just gonna chase Nyangi down. 2-level difference. It actually works this time. Pretending to be a clone, leaps forward, uses the Cyclone to get the knock up. Nyangi has nowhere to run. He has no tower. He only has level 1 boots of swiftness from Artorias. He's just gonna be cut down eventually.
Foregone conclusion, unfortunately, for Nyangi, and this monkey is not having the best of times. Volibear, he's shown he is so potent since his rework. He had to get a little bit of a buff to get him there, but now he is a terror. 2 versus 1 in the enemy jungle here, apparently. Will Sarset be able to do anything?
Sarset doesn't have his ultimate available. He actually has it, but he doesn't have the rage bar, and he just bursts him out. Artorias looking for the double here. The Wish isn't available, but he's right there with the heal. Sign-Up Sprinter flashes away. Frozen Domain. Just one more chomp to finish him off.
So, this isn't looking great for Vector at the minute.
Or my prediction.
No, your prediction is looking questionable, even more so than it did originally. And we said that Resolve were going to be wanting to come out strong. They were going to be wanting to show that last week was just a blip. Technical difficulties are beyond their control, but what is within their control is this dominating performance so far in completely shutting down what Vector want to do. Rightly finds another fantastic hook onto Hawkeye. Won't be able to follow through with it, but it's just another warning showing that you're there and showing that you can't contest this tower, because with 2 AD carries, you have the Thresh, you have the Rift Herald. Shelly is going to finish that one off, opening up the map even more. Did she? Oh,
nope.
just
a little bit left.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I thought we were going to get that then.
But Charlie, I do have a bright side for Vector.
Go on.
It's a little bit BM, but we'll talk about that in a second as Moonlight Vigil comes through with the package from Pillar as well. We'll get the Wish out of the Soraka, but Sarset going to try and find the kill. Barry picks up the first kill of the fight. Rightfully goes golden. Will apply his life? It looks like the answer is yes. We'll just about get away, but boom, baby! Hit with the fire, and he's dead.
Sarset manages to collect 2 there. He's fishing for a 3rd, but they won't be able to find it just yet. Artorias is coming in.
Yeah, Artorias can go where he pleases. He's like Dr. Mundo. He is 5-1 with that Trinity Force. Simon Sprinter is caught out. Just needs a little bit more as Artorias looking to run him down. He has the boots of swiftness, and he will manage to find it. Now going on to Hawkeye. He just ults onto him. One more auto attack for the double 7, 1 and 2.
Artorias is making every area of the map he goes into his own. He's going to stop the wave from approaching now. It's going to be a Drake over to Resolve, the second of the game, and the first one to start stacking up on this Rid. Sarset, he's gonna try and steal away what he can, but right now the gold is just not in the favor. Vector is being chased and hounded no matter where they go. You can see this poor Shyvana on the top side of the map desperately trying to get away with 3 members coming up. Artorias is gonna close in for the kill here, and Sarset has nowhere to go.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he donated it over to Dragdar here, because he doesn't need the kills, and Dragdar will manage to pick it up thanks to the Infernum there. They're trying to steal away this blue buff as well. Linkus gets knocked up in the air thanks to the Cyclone. He is silenced, so will not manage to get away. He comes the teleport now just to back up the rest of the team. Silent Sprinter has to try and get away with the Frozen Domain. Will manage to save the blue buff.
I believe it was 3
over, I think.
ultimates required though to make that pick onto Linkus happen. Sorry, 2 ultimates were needed there. The Cyclone and the
Wish.
The Wish as well in that fight. No, the Wish wasn't used. It was on cooldown. It was the Silence and the Trundle Pillar. I thought for ultimates for some reason, just because they have such a good utility effect in that play. But no, the ultimates were not used. It was only the Cyclone to start the CC train off, which the Soraka and the Trundle were experts at continuing. Linkus will lose his life, but overall, it's still looking very, very good for Resolve. You've got a bit of time before the next dragon spawns. You have 1 minute before Baron. And you can see Vector are trying to put some vision onto this top side of the map. They've got a little bit in the top jungle and into the river. But Resolve are basically just able to push into wherever they want. They don't need to be afraid of this dark zone anymore, because the Wukong isn't going to be able to burst anybody out. The Shyvana may be able to, but she can only do that once. Like, she can't have that same surprise impact on multiple members in quick succession, because it relies so much on the ultimate. So even if they do lose 1 member, Resolve can still just rotate over and win with the superior gold advantage and the carries that they have available to them.
They're all grouping around this bottom side now. 2.5 minutes or so until the next Drake will be a Cloud Drake. Cloud Soul for this game, but the little bit of a silver lining that I had earlier on is that the Soraka in the AD carry position is working out about as well as it did for Fnatic.
I mean, that's true. That is true, but it's a bit of a low bar set. Oh,
at it again. Use the ultimate, but I'm not expecting him to be able to get away. He does flash, has the Soraka there, might be able to find the damage now if he gets his E back off cooldown, but Hawkeye has to use the Wish just to try and survive. Ultimate used by Artorias. Now he flashes as well, picks up the kill. Godlike. 8, 1, and 3. Dragdar there just for a bit of moral support.
He might not be the tankiest, but this Volibear sure as hell is persistent. Pretty much able to just run in circles around this Shyvana. Doesn't have burst to be able to cut him down. Can't stop him from wailing onto the Soraka. And as soon as you lose that support, you lose the ability to try and win that 2v1. They're gonna cede control of a Baron. Resolve moving over here in earnest will clear out a bit of vision and then immediately turn. Nyangi is on the bottom side of the map, but let's be honest, he isn't really a factor right now. It's 2 versus 4, 4 versus 5 now as members converge on this pit, but Resolve are bursting through it fast.
He doesn't have the ability to use his ultimate. Sar said he's caught out. Lamb's Respite not going to be used because that would help out Vector a little bit too much. They're just destroying everyone. Wukong not even nearby. A double kill for the Corki. Wukong has to sit and watch as the Baron gets burned.
And he may have got a slight nerf on the most recent patch, but you wouldn't tell it from looking at Dragdar's play. This Aphelios is popping off right now. 606, outputting so much damage in that fight. 316 on Linkus, 913 on Artorias. Every single member that needs for gold on the side of Resolve has it. It's only the Corki that's letting the side down. Pillar, 222. What are you doing, man? Where's all these kills? He's a dirty inter. He's died twice. I mean, really, just get a better mid laner for next week, Resolve, because you know you're not gonna take the UKEL championship with this dirty inting pillar on your side. I'm joking, of course.
A little bit too strong there, I think, at the end, but.
I mean, look, we've got to throw some flame Resolve's way, because right now they are playing this game textbook. We have to criticize them in some aspects, and so far, it's really been hard to try and pick this team apart. They have had fantastic use out of every one of their members. The team is doing pretty much exactly what we expect. Linker's just going hunting.
Yeah, this isn't your jungle, this is my jungle, says Resolve. Moonlight Vigil comes through onto Barry as the teleport is channeled by Nyangi. don't think they really want to go for this fight, being 11,500 gold behind. It is a mountain that they have to climb. Just trying to bait them in, try and contest this Cloud Drake.
And while Vector are being herded away, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the role that Artorias seems to be playing on this roster. I noticed it first of all in the first week of the UKEL, and I'm seeing it emphasized again here. He is given a champion that can perform in a side lane. I'll wait on the point. There he goes under.
Yeah, that stops the tower, so we can't even get any tower shots down.
So, perhaps expertly demonstrating the point I'm about to make, Resolve gives Artorias this champion that can sit in a side lane, that can build an advantage, and can win out in these 1v1s. He uses that lead to create a huge amount of pressure, occupying multiple members of the opposing team, able to push many people away at once, allowing the rest of Resolve free access with a numbers advantage wherever they want to push on the map. He's done it here on the Volley Bear.
Yep, but in goes the Cyclone. Yangi gonna try and get himself away, but that is a no. Oh, he actually managed to flash away. But will he get the recall off? He is in vision at this point. Looks like Linkus might try and run him down, but no, he won't be able to get the back off. But the base is gonna be crumbling.
It will indeed, and with 3 ADCs, there's plenty of damage. That's a good hook.
Moonlight Vigil into the hook, and he is out of there. Dragdar 706 even has the Hex Drinker just to make sure that you can't burst him down. Used the heal earlier on, just to try and keep all of his team nice and healthy. He'll take the inhib and back away. They want to close this out without giving up anything, without giving an avenue to Vector to try and come back into this.
And the thing is, Vector, as crazy as this might sound, they do still have a chance in this game. They do still have a lot of CC. They have a lot of wave clear with the Victor. And you've been able to see with the squishy members on the side of Resolve, this AP Shyvana is still doing a lot of damage. Yes, it's not the one-shot Dragon's Breath that we were hoping for, or that Vector were hoping for, I should say. But if they can put out 1, 2, maybe even 3 of these onto the Kindred, onto the Corki, you start to get to a position where the rest of the team might be able to engage. Now, playing that long poke game isn't ideal. It's certainly not something the team is set up for, but with the Soraka, it's something they are able to do if they can just keep Resolve out of the base. Now, that's definitely easier said than done.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
very, very much so. With a 10-1 volley bear named Artorias charging at you, but it's a hope. It's a nugget of chance that Vector can hold on to, and they're gonna have to hold on to it hard because right now Resolve are knocking down all the rest of these towers. There's only 1 inhib, remember, remaining, and you have 4 members of Resolve knocking at that door.
Furry has just back to get his home guards to this last tower. Sarset goes in with the ultimate. Doesn't really get anything from his Dragon's Breath. They're just pushing too hard to really do anything. All you have to do is pressure onto these towers in the middle lane. Onto the Nexus, I should say. But Pillar, he can just 1v1 Yankee. He's that far behind.
Here we go.
Goes in with the package, but doesn't get anything from it, just pushing them away as Moonlight Vigil comes through. The wish is good, but down goes Synapse. Sprinter will get 1 for their trouble as Linkus uses his Lamb's Respite. Will buy a little bit of time, will manage to get away as Sarset, he has burned down a berry. He's not meant for this world. Yangi almost goes down there. They just have so much damn damage.
And there's nothing that Vector can do. They're being heralded onto the fountain. Pillar and Dragdar might look for 1 or 2 more kills, but ultimately it will not matter. Vector will lose in our game 3 of the UKEL tonight. Resolve, they're making it to 2-1.
And they were convincing in that win.
Yeah, very convincing. And
25 kills to 6.
This is one of the things that we've been saying about Resolve. They were extremely convincing in their first game of the split. They've been extremely convincing in the third game of the split. The only game they dropped was last week against London United, and that was a 4v5 where they still made London work for it. Now, depending on who you ask, it might be a bit controversial to say that it was only because of a DC, but Resolve were out to an early lead, and it was still took London nearly 40 minutes to close out the game against them with that man advantage. I think it's clear to see that Resolve are one of the strongest teams in our league. They definitely do not mess about on the Rift, and they certainly have some powerful players that you need to watch and you need to have some sort of answer to.
Yeah, I really can't wait until they play against Mythos. That will be
Yes.
the match of the split for me, because Mythos are undefeated, Resolve are on a tear and looking good.
Right now, it's certainly shaping up that way, but we can't say that too soon because we do have Nerd Rage up against London United for our final game of the evening. Nerd Rage are still undefeated themselves. Could argue due to strength of schedule, but I'm sure they're going to be coming out and proving us wrong, or at least trying to do so. But before that, we have our MVP to sort out.
We
and
do indeed.
I know
who I'm voting for.
I'm voting for Artorias.
Yes.
Like I was saying, this man does so much work on Resolve, and although Dragdar would have ultimately carried this game if it went longer, and he would have been the person that most of the weight fell on if Vector did manage to get back into the game a little bit. I feel that the job that Artorias does in creating this point of pressure and just taking over an entire segment of the map by himself is such a big factor of how Resolve appear to be playing that it is difficult to look anywhere else, especially when he is 10-1 free and diving 1 versus 3 under the enemy's Nexus towers.
Makes it a little bit easier that his ultimate causes the towers just to completely stop working for 6 seconds.
I mean, yeah, it does help, but let's be honest, would it really have mattered towards the end of that game there? I'm not thinking it would have done.
Right, so we're unanimous. Artorias wins the MVP for the second time. Actually, he won the MVP in their first game that they played, and you can't win MVP if you lose, so that's why he only has the 2. But we're going to go to a quick break. As Charlie alluded to, we have our final game after this little break: Nerd Rage versus London United. Don't go anywhere.